Welcome to episode 162 of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Monday morning. Yes, myself, Drew Sky, bringing you another Monday episode. As I discussed last week, I was gone to New Orleans for a conference. So I was out from Wednesday to Sunday. I'm back now. Looking forward to bringing you news. It was a bad time to be gone for Wisconsin sports, but at the same time, kind of good in terms of Bucks. Depends what you were watching. Bucks, pretty good time to be gone. Not a whole lot going on. I saw the Boston win, so that's all I needed to see this week. So it was not ideal how this week went for them either. But on the Brewers side, however, I missed out big time. I was able to follow the games, check in, watch a little bit of Friday and Saturday. I was able to get out of all games this week a good chunk of Sunday's game in which they lose. So unfortunate how that played out, but what is fortunate is this Brewers offense is setting records, right? They had, I believe it was, that 6 or 7 straight games of 7 runs or more, right? The offense has been clicking on all cylinders, and the thing that's been weird about this team that we haven't seen before is it's just not one guy. You know, this team has a lot of balance, and there's guys who are just putting up numbers across the board. If I told you coming into the year that, and I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, but the guy who is tied for second in WAR is going to surprise you, is what I'll say, and I'll get into that here shortly. But look, it's great to be back. At your Sports Crew, Instagram, X, and TikTok. I've been posting content while I was gone still, nonetheless. And scheduling this week remains very similar to a normal week, other than today. Thrown off. Usually would bring this to you last night after a Brewers game, because we know they don't play on Sunday night. ESPN, you have to be a big market team, or like a team like the. I mean, actually, now to think of it, all of them are big market teams. You just got to be a big market team. So they don't play Sunday night, so it helps us out recording wise. And then Wednesday around probably 4:35, thinking Journey to a Million. It could be an easily episode after dark. I have a draft class that I will have planned for Jared and Zach, and they will have to guess what players were drafted in that class. I give them the year. I give them all the teams. They got to guess it. This one we're going a little back. We're going to do a little bit of a throwback here. It's within the last 15 years, though. I promise it's not nothing too crazy. We'll just see how many they can get. So that's what we'll be doing. Otherwise, that's the main announcements. Fantasy baseball's been solid for me so far. 1-1 though to start the year in the podcast league. We had our March Madness winners, of course, with last Monday night's championship game. So that happened. We had, of course, it was Jared Valesky and Riley Hummel. So Jared of Journey to a Million got in on there, Riley. And then Jordan Lawrence, yes. Friend of the show, of course, Jordan Lawrence. He got their third in the pool. So thank you all who participated on that. Let's get into the show. We'll start with the Milwaukee Brewers. I mentioned this guy who was number 2 in WAR on the team. I'll let you guess. Bryce Terang. Bryce Terang is number 2 in WAR. So you must be like, oh, it must be all of his defense, right? He's a great defensive player. Yes, defense is a great driver of WAR, as we know. But he has an OPS over 900 right now. He has 17 hits to start the year. He only has 9 strikeouts. This is crazy. This is Bryce Terang we're talking about. A guy who had insane swing and miss. I believe his strikeout percentage last year, I'd say between 20 and 30 is like where you want to be at least. He was well over 30, right? I mean, had a lot of swing and miss in his game. He's really cleaned that up. But the thing we're seeing now is, okay, with Bryce Terang, he's a great base stealer, but he has to get on base to steal the base, right? Now he's getting on base. So now he's able to steal bases. He's already with 7 steals this year. So Bryce Terang has been a force for this team. He's been more in the bottom of the order. I think we'll start seeing him move a little bit up, creep up the order. But we've really seen him flourish this season so far, and the defense has always been there. So you love to see that. William Contreras was batting leadoff against Corbin Burns. Things like that is what we love to see from our guy Pat Murphy. But when you lead the team in OBP, it might make sense to bat him leadoff. Obviously, the slugging's there where you want to obviously have him bat behind people, but Contreras so far this year has been phenomenal. He is batting 375, his OPS over 1100, 4 home runs already, 7 walks, 14 strikeouts. Look, Contreras has been phenomenal. Like, this offense is just so much fun to watch. This is not a team, not the same team from last year offensively. This is a really good offense, and I love seeing it. Yelich has 5 home runs already. He's only struck out 8 times. That's been the key thing for me. 6 walks, 8 strikeouts. He's been getting on base. His OPS plus is over 200. I know it's only 46 plate appearances for him, but things like that just make you excited for the Brewers. Gary Sanchez hit his first home run this weekend in Baltimore. It was just all offense in that one. It was right. We saw Gary Sanchez hit a home run on that high fastball, just takes it out, deepest part of the park, basically in Baltimore. And then we saw Jake Bauers go deep to right. Jake Bauers, yes, with a 3-run home run. I don't know. I just overall really enjoyed this weekend's games. Like, who doesn't like the offense? Adames had a big week. He is the cover photo here of the show. As his big weekend, I'd say he had like 3 hits, multiple games, had some home runs. Just a really, really great game from him. And I want to add Joey Ortiz played great. I'm just still waiting. We're still waiting, of course, to see what's his role going to be. Is he going to be a platoon? Andrew Monasterio just got optioned, so the question is, what kind of role is Ortiz going to have? He's no home runs yet. His OPS is over 800 so far this year in limited games, but still has been exciting to see how he's done. He's not been 9 for 23 so far this year, so I want to see kind of where he's going to play moving forward. The scary thing goes with Christian Yelich. Yelich had exited on, I believe it was Friday already. Yeah, it was. He said his back, he could feel something in his back. He said it's not the same that he's felt that has caused long-term complications. He said he feels they got it before that could happen, but he's been out now. He's been day to day. They said he won't play the rest of the weekend. He may be on the IL. However, what they're looking at now is with him just taking it day to day. He might be in the lineup today. I don't think he will be. I hope we see him at least by Friday. If we don't, he's going to have a stint on the IL, which sucks because of how great he's been this year. He is 4th in the league in OPS, 4th in Major League Baseball, and has played very, very good so far this year. So you would hate to see that. You would at least hope he could have some sort of DH spot, at least. But yeah, Joey Weimer's already back up in the league. So we see Weimer. Blake Perkins, who he had a great weekend. He had a home run yesterday off Yanier Cano. But the swing and miss for him has been a problem for Perkins, but like, he's looked a lot better. I mean, I know it's been a small sample size. Just his at-bats, his approach, he's hung in there more. His OPS over 1,000 as well, as for many Brewers. When you score 7 runs in, again, I believe it was 6 straight games, you're going to have that because they had the 3. They had the 1 Seattle on Sunday, or against Seattle. And they had all 3 against Cincinnati. They scored 7 or more runs. They take 2 or 3 from there. In the first 2 games, they score 7 or more runs. Friday, Saturday. The Thursday rain out was frustrating. Thank you, Cincinnati, for not having a roof, but it felt momentum was there and it just got halted. They took care of Hunter Green. They got to Frankie Montas. They got to Graham Ashcraft, but the problem was Aaron Ashby had a rough outing. That was probably the most negative part of the week, I'd say, was how Ashby performed on Monday. Right, we know what Ellie De La Cruz did. I'm not going to share that. But Ashby, the problem was he couldn't get hitters, as dumb as it sounds, he couldn't miss barrels. He couldn't miss barrels. He couldn't throw a lot of strikes. And he had 2 walks to 2 strikeouts. He gave up a home run. He just got beat around. 6 hits, he allowed 8 runs. 4 were only earned, but I get an error. A couple errors had it, but then there were 3 errors it was. But just not a great game for Ashby. We don't have an update either on like how the bullpen, because we know Tyler McGill's been out. That was scary. I believe Bukakis just went on Bukowskis, my bad, went on the IL. And that happened yesterday. So that was kind of those other corresponding moves we saw. So he'll be out. Was pitching great. So unfortunate, but we need more guys to step up. Hopefully McGill coming in will be a nice addition. Yeah, the Ashby spots start to not work. We'll have to see moving forward how they're gonna use him, as that's important. But Freddie Peralta was phenomenal on Friday. That was the best start from a Brewers pitcher this season, right? Against Baltimore. Punches out 11. He just looked outstanding. I mean, that's the word I would use. One of his best games in a while, it feels. I think like that Cincinnati game last year, where he had all his strikeouts, but crazy good game for Peralta. Helps them get the win there 11-1, and then 11-5 was the win on Saturday. That one, there was a lot of offense. It felt between both teams, 16 combined runs. But DL Hall didn't pitch well though. That's why it's like he gave up 3 home runs, 4 strikeouts. He had 5. All 5 were earned. Yeah, he got hit around really hard. The fastball was sitting at like 92, just was getting belted. I don't know. DL Hall so far, I'm concerned with kind of how they're going to be able to use him moving forward. I wonder if he's a reliever. That's what I'm thinking right now. I wonder how his velocity will look as a reliever. How much he'll ramp up. Will he go up to 95 plus? I think he might have more. He might be more of a reliever down the road, and that's just me after a couple starts. So I know that's not really fair, but I think there's a value on that. I think he's, we think of Bryce Wilson, a guy who was a starter for the Pirates, now moved into a middle reliever role and has had a decent value. Problem is Brewers don't really have the depth to do that. They got to either make a move, they got to promote someone, they got to do something to make that possible. So that's what we're looking at. Elvis Peguero continues his dominant year, 3 wins already for him. He's like the vulture, right? We remember that used to be the talk, but with Brent Suter. But yeah, he looked good. Milner has continued. I had a rough outing, but has continued like being effective. And then Pyumps, who although had that rough outing against Minnesota, is all that it took to bump his ERA up. But Brewers move to, I believe they're 7-2 on the road so far this year. All those road games. Or no, actually they have only lost 1 road game. It was that one against Baltimore yesterday because they swept New York. And that's a great start. Let's move towards what we got this week on the slate. We have 6 games on the slate. Well-deserved off day Thursday for the Crew. 6:40 tonight against San Diego. So 3 games, 6:40, 12:10. And then off day Thursday. And Friday at St. Louis. We have 7:15, 1:15 Saturday. Yuck. 1:15 Sunday. I'm not a big fan of the daytime afternoon Saturday game. I think it should be at night. I think it should be either 3:10 or later. That's just me. 1:15 Sunday, that's fine. But not a big fan of the 7:15 start time either on Friday night. I guess that's fine too. But the Brewers looking like the matchups already. ESPN does a great job. Really helps me do a schedule preview of like breaking down what games I think we're going to win. So they have Joe Ross against Joe Musgrove tonight, and then Wade Miley against Dylan Cease on Tuesday, and then Freddie Peralta, Michael King on Wednesday. DL Hall pitches Friday against Kyle Gibson, Colin Ray versus Miles Michaelis, and then Joe Ross gets 2 starts this week as he faces Sonny Gray on Sunday. There you go. Joe Ross getting 2 starts this week's concerning. We've seen pitch count be an issue with him, and then also like him ramping up. How many pitches are you going to get out of him? I don't know. That Thursday off day is going to be well needed for this team. Are they going to use Ashby? I don't know, because I can't see Joe Ross 2 starts this week. I can't see him going at 5+ innings in both. I feel like that's an unlikely outcome, but something we'll monitor. I want to highlight all right-handers on the deck this week. For this team, they're going to face 6 righties. This is where you really want Christian Yelich, right? I think you're going to see Bowers get a lot of playing time as the other guy who's going to benefit from this. With it being a left-handed or right-handed pitchers all this week. They will get a lefty next Monday. They'll have 2 or 3 lefties in Pittsburgh. They'll probably face a lefty or 2 in New York. So kind of you get all righties this week, then you're over half your schedule. The next week's going to be lefties. So that will be something to monitor. But otherwise, this offense has been clicking. I'm excited to see what they do against San Diego tonight. And as again they're facing some pretty good pitchers, right? Musgrove and Cease especially. Michael King can bring it as well. So intrigued to see this week. I have them going for. I have them going 4-2. My bad this week. I'm not a big fan of the Friday matchup for DL Hall and Gibson. Not a fan of Wade Miley versus Dylan Cease either. I'm kind of that game does concern me. I will be at that game too tomorrow night, so monitoring that one. I don't like that matchup for the Brewers, but hopefully they can pull out the win. Otherwise, that's the baseball talk. I kind of gave you right. Bryce Strang second on this team in WAR. We talked about the offensive success team this team has had. The guys who we just need to get going. Jake Bowers, we need you to get going. And I hope he does. And then everybody else really has gotten going. Oliver Dunn has kind of slowed down a little bit, but still value with what he brings to the table. Let's go over, and also Gary Sanchez, but he hit that first home run. We're hoping moving forward he can pick it up. Let's go to the Bucks. Not too much other than not a great week for Milwaukee, but enough to help lock in the 3 seed. There was concern that they could have moved down to the 4. That was a realistic outcome we could have saw. So thankfully we didn't see that. Cleveland unfortunately lost. However, New York wins a game in overtime, so then they end up getting it done. But yeah, they go 2-2 this week. I wanted 3-1. I didn't get 3-1. We did not get 50 wins. That did not happen this year, but we won the division by a game. So if you in case you cared, the Bucks are the Central Division champs for the 6th straight season. There you go. I know we don't care about divisions. Every other sport cares about division champs other than basketball, which makes sense. Playoffs based on really just record, like with the conference. So it makes sense, but I just find that fascinating. Giannis has remained out, so that's the other thing too. But Bucks win the back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. And that's been something of note that we can appreciate. But otherwise, the Friday, Sunday game on the road, those were something that I'm not a fan of. Both those games, as the offense. Well, the story was defense on Friday in OKC. It was brutal. No, it was 125, 107. Allowed 125 points to a very good Oklahoma City team, who is the 1 seed in the West. And then Orlando was a little bit of both defense, offense, 113-88. The offense was really putrid in that one. Bobby was your leading scorer with 17 and 10. Just not a great game for the squad. Moving forward, though, end of the regular season, the question goes to Giannis Antetokounmpo. What's his status going to be as they locked in the 3 seed and they play Indiana, the Pacers? The Pacers were 4-1 against the Milwaukee Bucks this year, and they beat them pretty convincing in majority of those wins. So the question is, how are they going to hang in there? I do want to note this Pacers team's a little different since they last saw him. I know that Pascal Siakam's on the squad. I understand that, but I mean, they do not have Benedict Mathurin, who's been out for the year. I think that's actually a quite interesting thing. Mathurin played very well against the Bucks. He's I believe he's a second-year guard, and he's out of Arizona, but he played very well. The Pacers finished hot too, 47-35. They're only 2 games back to the Bucks, actually. How congested the East was, that's all you need. But we know the guys who have played well against the Bucks, right? I mentioned Mathurin, McConnell has, Siakam historically has. We know about Halliburton, things like that. I know a lot of people are saying the Bucks should be scared. The Bucks might lose this. I understand the concerns. Again, I mentioned the 4-1 record the Pacers had over the Bucks, but the Bucks still remain favored to win the series. That's not going to change. Game 1 is Sunday, so they're really not telling us a lot about what days are going to be what. They're waiting for the play-in games because then they're going to dictate, because the problem is the Lakers, the Warriors, they're all in the play-in, so they want to wait until they play, see where they're seated, and then they get all the priority games. So that's kind of what we have to wait on, which, again, kind of frustrating, but I understand why. But the final standings were actually quite surprising. I didn't think New York was actually going to pass Milwaukee. I was shocked. I thought it was going to be Cleveland, but they did. Boston easily with the 1. They're 14 games up on the 2 seed New York, who finished 50-32. Milwaukee finishes 49-33. Cleveland 48-34. You see how crazy this is? three teams with 47 wins then. Orlando, Indiana, Philly. Orlando, Indiana both have tiebreakers over Philly. Philly then is in the play-in. But if you look at the Bucks, like I know people are upset they got the 3 instead of 2 because now they have to play Indiana. If you're the 2, you play either the winner of Philly and Miami. If you're the Bucks, you don't play either of those. I'm sure Miami, we know about last year, but I'm sure it would be fine if they played them. But Philly has won 8 in a row. Joel Embiid is back. I know he just got hurt this past weekend again, but he's going to probably be good to go. You probably don't want that matchup if you're Milwaukee, is all I'm saying. I don't mind this Indiana matchup. It's a winnable matchup. We know it is. And then if they win now, right? I mean, they're going to play the winner of the New York, Philly or Miami series, which would be a good one already. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But I don't know. I think they'd hang in there fine. That'd be in the semis if they play New York or Philly or Miami. I cannot believe Atlanta makes the playoffs 36-46. Atlanta and Chicago, both of them. That is tough scene for them. That play-in game is going to be interesting. But that's what I was looking at. Okay, the West is going to be fun too. So it's OKC. It gets the 1. Denver 2, Minnesota 3, LA 4, the Clippers, Dallas 5, Phoenix 6. The play-in then is New Orleans and LA for the 7th seed, and then Sacramento and Golden State. The winner of that plays the loser of the New Orleans LA for the 8th seed. Is how it goes. So it's double elimination for the 7-8 game, and then single for 9 and 10. Makes sense to me. But yeah, Sacramento, Golden State. The West play-in is miles ahead better than the East play-in. The only game in the East play-in that's going to matter, I think, is the 7-8 play-in. That's going to be probably the best game, but that's just me. The Cleveland Orlando series, I don't like. That's just such a weird series to me. I don't know how many people are going to care about that one. Obviously, the Bucks Pacers is going to be a big one because of the whole right, the rivalry, the ball situation, game ball, all that is going to be an interesting series. New York, and if they play Philly or even New York and Miami, both of those intrigue me as well. I think we actually have a great first round. Also, think about this, if the Lakers win, it's Lakers Thunder first round. I wonder what that's going to be. I wonder if the Lakers, we know the Lakers aren't going to be favored to win the series, but it's going to be close, which is crazy to think about. Or I would say the Nuggets probably would be well favored as the 2 seed, but and sorry, I apologize. If the Lakers lose and then if they lose to New Orleans gets the 7. They end up having to play Denver, and then if LA wins if they lose and then they win, so they beat the winner of Sacramento, Golden State, they'd get the 8 seed if they have to do that in the double elimination scenario. Obviously they're going to try to win the game. Right, they're going to try to win that, but if they lose and then they end up having to play OKC over Denver, I think teams would rather play that matchup, right? Wouldn't you rather play OKC than Denver in a playoff series? The young, inexperienced OKC team that still was very good this season, right? The very young players stood out. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played at MVP level, but also Denver is the reigning NBA champ who has played phenomenal in the postseason the last couple of seasons, and they've also offensively, they've looked great this year. So I don't know. That's just my take. But I'm intrigued to see the playoffs. My prediction, so the homer prediction is the Bucks make the finals and the Bucks win the finals. But again, I think the Bucks conference finals at least is a thing. I do, and this might sound dumb. I think Boston's due. And I know that's a cliche, but Boston has been the best team start to end this year. They're the most deserving to win, in my opinion. I know I'm a Bucks fan, so I shouldn't say that, but right, they had the best record. They had the best record by not just a game or two. They had the best record by 7 games. They played the best game in, game out. They're the most well-balanced team. When you have Drew Holiday coming off your bench, and playing well, they just overpaid him, but they deserve to win. I hope the Bucks win, though. I hope the Bucks win the finals. Boston is my prediction. Other than the Bucks, I have Boston over. I was thinking like LA or Dallas. I think this is their year. The Clippers or the Mavs finally do it. Finally make it into the thing. I think a team from the East is winning though, which might be unpopular considering how good the West is. I like those top teams in the East. I like those top three teams in the East. Not really New York, but I like them more than top three in the West, even though their record shows otherwise. I just think the experience, especially with the Bucks and Celtics, is a lot more valuable than the experience that Minnesota and OKC have. So that's my take on this. I'm excited to see how this NBA playoffs go. I hope you all are as well. But yeah, we have a great week of Brewers games. I have Bucks going 1-0, Brewers going 4-2. But otherwise, that's all I have here. Have a great week, everyone. At Drew Sports Crew on all social media platforms. But that's going to wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Monday afternoon. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.